So your question was, why does it say Ata chonen landas umelamed le'enosh bina? Right? So what's umelamed le'enosh bina mean? Because what does that mean? If you take it literally, it means that God teaches us understanding, right? But that can't mean that. But that would imply that if that's what God does, then we're never understanding anything because God's just feeding into our brain. So what must you say?
The ability?
Right, so it must be both. There's two things. There's one is God gives us the means of, this is the key thing. God gives us the means of acquiring information, and God created us with a faculty that allows us to obtain data and analyze it, right? Like your mind.
So what's the first phrase?
What's?
The first phrase.
Ata chonen adam das.
Yeah.
So he created a world where there's information for us to be able to access, right?
Okay.
And he gave us a faculty that allows us to take that information and interpret it. But he won't, and that's why it's a proof of seichel, but he has nothing to do with how you take that information and apply it. Nothing. You know what I mean? Because that's pure bechira. Bechira is, I'm not saying in every case, okay, Barax, but the notion of bechira is what, in a global sense, I take the information or knowledge and what do I do with it? How do I apply it? That's our will. What? No, we're not saying that God, we want God to work out the word of cause and effect in a manner that will assist us in applying it. But not that God will engage in or invade in our bechira. Okay? So again, haskel means I now have the knowledge, right? How does it affect me? What do I do with it? It's the next step. It's not just enough to know things, right? Just because I know, like a guy can know 2 + 2 = 4, right? I'll put it in a simplistic way. A guy can know that. Now the question is, but what does that do for him? What is it now? Now what does he do with it? What's the next step?
Right. So there's
what does this knowledge now do for me? Right? We don't want it just to be knowledge per se. It has to be something that perfects you or brings you closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Okay. So the next thing I want to take up is VeAnyeinu VeAnyeinu. Okay? So I picked out 4 of the bakashos. This is number 2. But to appreciate VeAnyeinu VeAnyeinu, so there's okay, well let's do VeAnyeinu VeAnyeinu first. Who's the art scrolling it for me?
Should I re-translate?
Yeah. VeAnyeinu VeAnyeinu. Mehira.
Affliction and take up the grievance.
Wait, slowly, and louder.
Behold our affliction.
Behold! Behold our affliction.
Right.
Okay?
Take up our grievance and redeem us.
Take up our grievance. Okay? Ugalenu mehira l'man shemecha. And then redeem us quickly.
For your name's sake.
Right. Why? Strong Redeemer. Right? Baruch Hashem, Gol Yisrael. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Now here's where things get tricky, okay? What's the first question you ask on this? I mean, obviously, I'm not saying what you have to ask, but what questions would you ask on this?
God doesn't know our affliction.
Well, why not? Of course he does. Oh, you mean why? Okay, isn't it obvious?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You were saying that as a statement.
All right. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure what you're doing then. Okay. What else could you ask? That's a good question.
It's the affliction is too particular.
What do you mean?
I was going more the Aristotle Kofi route.
Yes.
Why the Laman Shemecha?
That's a good question. Okay, what's Laman Shemecha?
What does Chazak mean?
What does Chazak mean? That's also a good question.
Okay. Skipping to this one?
Because I didn't want to do every bakasha. But
No, so I'm saying why this one?
oh, because I've never done this before. Right, I've done Slach Lanu and I've done Hashemina. But you'll see why. But you have to have. You need to know what the other ones are about to understand this, and I'll prove to you why in a second. But you're missing the big question, though. I'm surprised everyone took it as a given. What are we asking for here? If you had to sum up one word, what you're asking for? What are you asking for? Geula, right? Geula. Okay, now let me ask you a question. What do we mean by Geula? What Geula are we talking about? What?
Gulas and Nefesh.
Olam Haba. All right. Gula. What do you mean Olam Haba?
Gulas and Gula.
Okay, the ultimate Gula. Right. But there's a big problem with that.
We have
Okay.
and Senach.
Okay. We have the theme of Geula doesn't come up to.
Up in 12 brachos.
Repetition.
No, it doesn't. No, you're right. You're proving my point. The beginning of the Geula part starts with Tekah b'shofar. Tekah b'shofar Gadol Charisenu. Right. Then we say Hashmina b'Noshazecha. Right. Then you have. Well, Rashim is really getting that was added in later, but that's really getting. Then you have Al Tzadikim, which that's the other one I took up, by the way, and then you have Yerushalayim Yercha, and that's Semach. All those things thematically, and then let's assume for now, culminating with say, all deal with Geula issues. So is this talking about that Geula? Now I'll give you another proof why this is probably not talking about that kind of Geula. Because let's start from the beginning. What does Ata Chonen tell us? What are we asking for in Ata Chonen? Knowledge. Okay, and what comes after that? Hashivena v'inasoseka. So what do we, after knowledge, what's the first thing we say?
Tshuva.
Tshuva, right? Because we recognize, first we want our minds. First after we recognize our need for knowledge, what's the next thing we recognize? We recognize that
How badly we failed.
well, we have to perfect ourselves, right? And there's perfection is part of that also. After we talk about tshuva, what's the next thing we talk about? All right, so tshuva means that we perfected ourselves, but what do we require from God?
Mechila.
A mechila, right? Okay, so which would therefore imply what's this gula talking about?
Spiritual.
Okay, yes, but what does that mean though?
Personal.
Personal. Okay? There's meaning, now when I say personal, I mean for you and I mean as Bnei Yisrael, but there's an idea of a personal redemption, not the Geula Asida. Okay? But now the question is,
From what?
it's from what? VeAnyeinu. Okay? The Riva Riveinu. In other words, VeAnyeinu, right? Whatever we're afflicted by, we want God to get involved
Take it away.
and take it away. Okay, so now, see, again, very similar in structure to Hanukkah, right? By Al Nisim, right?
Oh, Damas
Right, Dantas Dinam, right? So, right. So you see, it's a step-by-step process. We're saying, no, it's a somewhat surah. God, whatever it is, Re'eh means view, like and gather the information, right? Riva Reveinu seems to be involve yourself, and then Ugalena Mira seems to be the action that we desire God to employ on our behalf. Okay.
Right.
What's the idea of geula here? I mean, you can extract the idea of geula from the actual from the words of the Tefilah, but what's the geula here? What geula are we talking about? What's personal geula mean?
How many gulas are there?
2.
And they are.
Personal geula,
And
the future geula.
as,
We say cosmic.
so the personal gula is happening now.
I don't. Well, you're being mavakesh for a personal geula. What does that mean?
Well, they're
Isn't the
both.
personal gula always happening?
One second.
That's what's trying, but
Now
internally
they
it's
do
what's gula, kinda like life and death.
they do partake of the same terms, so there must be something in relation to them. All right, but at the same time, but there's definitely something different about.
Personal gula, I would-
No, it's a good step. So if you look at this as a process, right? There's I want das, right? Then I can start engaging in tshuva. Then you want mechila from Kadosh Baruch Hu. So now the state of mechila, it seems to me it's insufficient. There's one more thing you ask for.
Well, I don't want to be.
What's the
same
next thing?
caliber. I want to be a different person now.
But put in the context of what we're saying. Re'eh
I
VeAnyeinu.
don't want the same battle my battles with my desires.
Let's just get a basic idea. There's more aspects to this that there's more details I want to take up. I just want to get the one basic idea of this down. So what are we asking for here? If you just were able to understand the contrast between this and before, and what kind of issues are we dealing with beforehand? Das, tshuva, mechila, right? So those are all
Individual.
so this is also individual.
Great.
Next,
That doesn't negate that those are.
right?
Right.
But so what makes this different? Yeah, that's another good step. Next step is that so Johnny's saying that gula must reference some notion of putting yourself or being put in a state which would now allow for perfection to emerge. Okay, now plug that in. Re'eh VeAnyeinu, right? What are Zanyenu we're looking at? And I'll tell you what the Levush says. The Levush says is that I don't know if this is the Svar Levush or what he actually says. I can't find it in there. But the Levush says he says our circumstances should be where we are in a state of nachas. Okay, so what is that? What's geula then? I mean, think about it. There's one last step required to be on that level.
It's the experience.
Meaning,
Meaning.
that's good.
Meaning
The experience, okay. But I agree. But why is it different than, let's say, tshuva and mechila?
Those are all mices, but you don't experience the fruit of your labor.
Um,
I think Johnny just said. Didn't you just say?
well, okay.
You're
Let's
asking for the
divide
drug trick. You're
into
asking
two.
for the-
Let's divide into
asking for the drug
two.
trick.
Johnny's right about the scene Johnny's setting the right scene. What is geula in and of itself? Let's use Yitzias Mitzrayim. What's the idea of geula?
Freedom.
Freedom. Freedom.
Redemption.
Okay, right. The ironic freedom, right? So,
You know what?
so no, but the point is that you're changing from a state of a bad state, right, to a state where you're able to worship God appropriately, all right, to the ideal state of worship of God.
Whoa.
What did Gulas Mitzrayim do? Gulas Mitzrayim took Gulas Mitzrayim.
He took us away from all the.
Things like this. In other words, I'm trying to understand what the idea of Geula is. So let's take an idea of Geula that's not Geula Asida and not personal
Crap
Geula.
about getting this school that that down for, or just some cute ideas?
Yes, just be quiet for a second.
What's
Shh,
Geula
shh,
talking
shh.
about?
Calm down. So Geula clearly refers to a change in your state. Okay, but we talked about tshuva and mechila, right? So what we're saying is that just take one more step. We're saying that whatever state we're in right now, it's true that we've done our tshuva and mechila, right? But it seems to be not enough. It's not enough to take that final step. All right. So again,
In other words, maybe like after you've done tshuva and mechila, you're at like level 0, but we want to get to level 10.
okay, so what? So therefore we're at.
Tefilah can get you to level 10.
All right, so re'eh VeAnyeinu, which means what? What are we asking God for?
I think we don't know.
What would you say Anyenu are?
Our state of
afflictions.
being now.
Which means what? What?
Our state now.
Okay, well, but more so. In other words, things that would prevent us from.
Protecting us.
Exactly. In other words, Johnny, I think the way Johnny's putting it really good. In other words, tshuva and mechila put us in the state where now we now want to worship God. But there's one more step we require.
Clearing the path.
Exactly, clearing the path. Right. We need to make sure that the world around us. That's what the Levush means by. He says that there should be a state of nachas. Nachas meaning that the world is functioning. That the world exists in a manner where it's simple, where you're not there aren't impediments.
But you got to step in the box and then you can really do it.
Yeah. Right. So.
We got one game this year.
So the main idea of this tefillah, we'll get into this particulars next week, but the main idea of the tefillah is that it's not enough to, in other words, when we ask for God for assist us in tshuva and for Him to forgive us, so those are internal changes. We want to change who we are as a gavra in relation to Kadosh Baruch Hu. But we require more assistance. We require God we want Him to assist us with the world outside of us, to remove those impediments that will assist us in being able to worship Him correctly. Of course, what comes after... Oh, it's refuah, yeah. Then you see, after the overall notion of removing these impediments, right, the overall concept, what are the next two tefillahs? VeAnyeinu, because VeAnyeinu is what? VeAnyeinu is physical ailments, right? And Barech Aleinu, which is what?
Physical.
Well, you're asking for the world around us to operate in a manner that we can benefit and then worship God appropriately. So you see, it's all one vast theme. Yes. We've been forgiven. Okay, let's go in order. I had knowledge. I was able to do tshuva. God forgave me for my sins. Okay, but as Johnny said, now I'm at level 0. Now what?
What are you asking for? It's not funny right now.
To be forgiven.
To be forgiven.
Yeah. Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu. Slach lanu ki chatanu. Forgive us, God, because I sinned. Or we sinned.
What about Hashivin?
Hashivin avinu sosecha. That's tshuva.
What are you actually asking for?
You're asking to God assist you in the world to assist you in doing tshuva.
It sounds like moving impediments.
No. There's a difference though. Yeah, there is something in common, but there's a bigger difference between saying I have temptations that lead me to do isser, right? Versus, I'll give you a perfect example, a perfect analogy. There's a big difference between saying that like God, let's be absurd for a second. Like I have taiva for the world of the sexual, right? I live in an area where there's a lot of strip clubs. Please God assist me in being able to move out of that area. Okay, versus saying.
It was called a movie.
Right. Versus saying, I'm just being hyperbolic, but you'll get the point. Versus saying, God, I need more money, or I need an environment of Torah so I can now worship you correctly. Because right now I live in a farm, right? I need an environment that's more conducive to Torah so I can now grow. There's one thing is removing impediments so I can return to God. The other one is creating an environment that is conducive to me now worshiping God appropriately. But I'm ready to worship God. I'm in a state now where I'm ready to worship God.
Same removal of negative versus adding positive.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay?
So what are you asking for stuff, huh?
It's not enough just, you need a kapara. It's not enough just to ask God for, it's not enough to say I did tshuva, but you need God to acquiesce to that. That's the whole idea of tshuva and mechila.
Why? If
That's a
you
Yom Kippur
level
idea.
One, you automatically get be forgiven.
No. What? Just because you do tshuva doesn't mean, right, just because you do tshuva does not mean that God forgives you.
Why does tshuva?
That's an area of, that's a whole separate shir insofar as how tshuva and mechila works.
Why does-
But it's not a guarantee that God will forgive you.
Why does-
In order, you talk from God, you have to perfect yourself in order for God to forgive you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? You have to be on that level that God will say, now you've done what you're supposed to do, now I forgive you. Yeah.